all worked out in the end. Uh, I was actually thinking as I was filming here, I'm getting at the age where I'm uh, reflecting on my past, and I was back in the 80s, I was a grade school teacher, and ah, allow. Okay. I was a grade school teacher, and we snuck in the Commodore 64, and I was teaching children how to use word processing and database management. And one of the key neat things, I'll say it that way, not keen, uh, was using 300 baud modem to log on to a bulletin board. And it was there that the kids were able to post messages, and we'd log in a day or two later, and someone would answer them. And it was their introduction and my introduction to using social media. Because here it was amazing that we were able to communicate with other people in the city of Philadelphia and with other people as far away as media at the time. Um, so that was my introduction to that. And today it just blows me away that we can meet and work with people from all over the world. And before I go any further, uh, this is about a collaboration between myself and Hua Sun, who is a librarian at Shandong University of Arts in Shandong Province, Jinan City in Shandong Province. And I want to introduce you to her, and hopefully this is going to work. Um, we were hoping that she'd be available uh, through a Skype, but it's 12 hours difference between here and there. Uh, and she is getting ready to go to sleep and get up for work tomorrow. But she did make this nice video for us, and I'll play that. I hope the sound is up. Oops. All right.
Because our sound cord isn't plugged in.
Oh, that would help.
All right. Try it.
Let's go back.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, is it muted? Aha! Aha! Aha!
Okay.
Is it muted in the window? It looks okay.
Yeah.
It should be plugged in.
Well, as I said, I usually do things that make presentations that make the technical people a little angry at me.
Let me try it again.
Yeah. That's
No.
no. Um,
Yeah, you could do that.
good idea.
So yeah, this will be a fun speakers from the laptop presentation.
This is a brand new library, by the way.
Hello everybody, I'm Huashen from Shandong University of Art in China. First of all, I'd like to express my deep appreciation for the kind invitation to my collaborator, Mark Puterbach from the Institute. Thus, I could have this chance to greet all of you here at this place. I know Villanova is a very famous university, and I hope I could visit your university in person one day. Now, I'm in one of our Chinese painting exhibition hall in our library. I hope one day you could visit here too. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish all of you have a great time today. Mark, it's your turn now. Thank you very much.
We've taken as our theme, we've actually stolen it from someone else. Small is beautiful, and networking makes us stronger. We work for two relatively small institutions. Eastern University being about under 4,000 students. For China, Shandong University of Arts is on the small side with just under 10,000 students. But we've even taken this to represent two people who together are small, but when we work together, we become stronger. And I want to give you a little bit of the background of how we met each other and how we came to work together. I met a fellow by the name of Aaron Tay, who was a library journal mover and shaker in 2011 on a social site called Ning, way back when it was free. And I got to know, he set up a site, and there were international librarians coming in and sharing ideas with each other. Aaron himself is from Singapore. He's a librarian at the University of Singapore. And when Ning went paid for, we all abandoned it. And for a while we were going around trying to figure out how we communicate with each other. And Aaron came along and set up a Facebook group called Library Related People. And this was a closed group, only by invitation. And the first day there were over 300 of us. We all started chatting. I was chatting with librarians from Europe, from the Philippines, and also Hua-Sun was able to get into Facebook and was able to chat with her. But in a very short time, 2 or 3 days it was, we reached the limit of the number of people who were able to use the chat system, and we had to rely on the wall. Fortunately, we all friended each other and were able to chat that way. It's a great site if you're in Facebook and you can email me if you want, to come on in and share with librarians from everywhere. And we've been doing a list lately of where the librarians are located. Of course, the largest number of librarians come from the United States, but there are people from, again, the Philippines. A lot of the Dutch are in here for some reason, and I've made some really great Dutch friends. And fortunately, we all speak English, because I would be totally lost otherwise. But it's a great site. One of the people I met in Ning, and also has transferred over to library-related people, is a professor at Seoul University in South Korea. He's the director of the Center for, and I always have to look at this, Linked Data Research. His name is Young-Dai Cho. And at one point, Dr. Cho was lecturing at Hansung University, very famous old university. He was lecturing to a class of students, international students. The class was in English. And what he did was go out and invite a group of mentors, international mentors, to work with his students to show them the power of networking. And I was the one who was the furthest away, and I think I had the most fun because when the students would be up in their midnight chats, I was able to sit at my desk at lunchtime and chat with them. And what they were chatting about is that Dr. Chung posted questions for them to answer on the Facebook page. So they had to deal with classroom materials, and we were able to interact with them. One discussion was that I had one day was talking about the role that Amazon.com played in developing social media, and they had studied that in class, and we were talking about it, and we thought it was great. And I'm still friend with a number of these students through Facebook, and it was also here that I began to discuss that we thought this was a great idea. The mentors thought it was a great idea. Some of us started to discuss doing more. And we sort of look like this. This was originally supposed to have a Linux symbol on it, but my student assistant said it was the wrong type of penguin. I had to take it off. We started talking with each other and looking for common ground. And it was difficult because we ran into all sorts of issues. One, my boss will not allow this. Two, licensing agreements. We were talking about maybe sharing some resources, and license agreements stood in the way. There was lots of chatter, but only out of this whole group, and I was talking with librarians. We had some serious talks from Ghana, a American school in Ghana. We were talking about doing something. Some of the folks in Europe, but two of us sort of stuck together through this whole thing, and that was Wasun and of course me. Yeah. At the time, I didn't realize how difficult it was for Hua to get into Facebook. As I think a lot of people know, Facebook is not available in China, although it's been opened up recently in Shanghai. I started to notice that she was chatting with me from Facebook using MSN, which are linked together. And eventually, I went over to my Hotmail account and was starting to use MSN back and forth. And we started talking because at the time you could also do voice over MSN. Messenger has gone away in the United States. By the way, it's still available in China. But we switched over to Skype, and we started planning and looking at things we could do together. And Hua came across our LibGuides. Now, I was talking about websites and different things. And she suggested doing a Chinese history and culture LibGuide. So we got together through Skype with our LibGuide administrator, Andrea Reed, and we started weekly meetings to develop the LibGuide site. And we met every Friday morning in my office using Skype. Andrea was on Skype, I was on Skype, and Hua was on Skype. She was at home, 9 o'clock at night. Over time, we had to make some changes to that. I'm trying to remember what the next slide is. Okay. Because at her home, she lives in an apartment where most of the staff from the university live. The wireless became difficult to use. So we had to make a switch around. I would be at home at night, and she would be live from her office. And then at this point, things had started to develop. We exchanged letters between our directors saying, we take work time to develop this. And it's developed into a very interesting tool that people on our campus have used. And it's also spread out to some of the other courses. And I'll talk about that in a second. So we went from Messenger to Skype, and she is now working collaboratively with me on developing a LibGuide. And we started talking more, and we thought maybe someone else would be interested in seeing what we were doing. And we both had Hotmail accounts, and so we decided maybe we'd do a presentation. And we worked using SkyDrive and the PowerPoint Live, I think it's called now, to actually work together on putting a presentation together. And we sent to 3 conferences, one in the US, one at Beijing, and one in Europe. We were turned down by the United States and we were turned down by China, but the folks at NTACL 12 in Trondheim, Norway, accepted our proposal. And it was a perfect location. It was 6 hours between Philadelphia and Jinan in Shandong province. So I was able to have Andrea Reed join us from here, and Hua was able to join us from her home in China. And this is a guy who was very overcome by jet lag, trying to do a presentation, and Hua joined me, and we had a discussion together, and for a while we disconnected, and you notice Andrea's not there, so we were having all these technical trouble, but we went through the whole process, and I think people sort of understood what we were doing, and I had a nice trip to Trondheim, which, if you're ever in Norway, that's the place to go. It's got beautiful rivers. So, after this, we looked at another project. And again, using all the tools that we had available to us, which all available to you all, we used SkyDrive again, and we wrote a paper. And we submitted it to 2 journals, and fortunately, one accepted us. I like to promote this, get some of the readership up. But the whole process was very interesting because every week, we still meet almost every week, we're still working on the LibGuide. But this was interesting because we were writing this paper from 7,000 miles apart, and usually the editor would send the paper back to us for revision on Friday afternoon. So I would have to post it. That whole 12-hour turnaround part became a little difficult, and there was a little lag time in between. But we did manage over a period of time in explaining to the editors what was really going on. We actually wrote this together. She was a lot better at APA style than I am, so it was a big help in the end. So, having done all of that, we are now looking at a next project, which is taking me into Chinese social media. And at the moment, we are no longer using Skype for communication. We use a service called WeChat. No. Yes, we do use that, but we use QQ, which is supposed to be on here, QQ, which is very similar to Skype. But it's a Chinese version, and I stumble around inside trying to figure out the symbols. But it also has this great web interface, which gives you a desktop, and you can use everything that's there just like at your own desktop. WeChat we use on our mobile devices. We're actually in contact 3 or 4 times a week now. And let me explain. We have gotten not only to know each other professionally, but because of this 12-hour turnaround, we know each other's home lives. So Hua has met my wife, and she's met my cats. And on the other end, I've had a chance. Her husband's English is not at the same level, but we've talked about John Wayne movies, which is his favorite actor. And on the other side, we know each other's staff, because everybody at my office has met Hua, including the director, and at the other end, I've met her director and all the people in her office. In fact, the other night she had me on her cell phone and was showing me around the office, and I was greeting everyone, and I was trying to recruit an IT person from from China to come over, but she didn't want to come. So it's been all this. We're learning. I'm learning a lot about the Chinese social media. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I uploaded my first video to YouTube. So now we have a video presence. Eastern University Library has a video presence in China. And this has branched out. And I'll let me go on a little further here. Everyone is using social media, and a lot of people don't think this is much of anything. But I have a disagreement. What we're doing now is connecting on a professional level with colleagues anywhere. And I think it's an amazing thing, and it's something to scream about. We should, this is where I'm getting very opinionated, we should be doing this. No, I think it's an option for all of us to expand the things we do. And I'm hitting again with the question of why do this? By the way, I love this. And I've used that picture in a few things. Why do this? Personal growth. You're learning something about new cultures. I've learned a lot about the library system in China, which is much different from our own. And I'm going to suggest a few things for changes in our workflow along the way. Sharing thoughts. The thing about the Facebook group and library-related people and information sociology is that I was able to share thoughts about how library services work, information exchange, gain a lot of new insights by sharing this way. And we've also shared resources. Of course, the LibGuide was fantastic. You know, it's great to have someone who is embedded in the culture work with you while developing a site like the Chinese history and culture. We also started, and we started dragging our dance department, a video exchange. Now this has been very difficult because we're still trying to use social media to do this. So it takes about 2 hours to upload a full dance concert to a server and then download it at the other end, and we're trying to figure out ways that are cost effective to do this. One of our dance professors absolutely loves the videos, and she sat down next to me and was real excited to see all the different elements in, it's way over my head, in the dance. So it's a way of sharing, and we've sent videos from our school back to Shandong. So it's a way of sharing the educational experience with each other. And I have to say this because I don't know how it is at your library, which we're sometimes ignored. it has great PR value. When I was working with Dr. Chung, we put it in our bibliophile, and we got response from faculty who were interested in what Dr. Chung was doing. And I'll repeat it. When I was in Trondheim, I had faculty come up and want to know what this was about. And when we published, I actually had a professor come up to the reference desk and shake my hand, which was great for me. But the fact that they know that the libraries, we're not only book stampers, but we're actually professionals who write papers, who get involved with scholarly communication. And I think that's important in establishing the library's presence on the university. And the last thing, and this is the most important thing, I'm reaching the age where I've been through all the wars, and if something's not fun at work, I'm going to be very bored. And so it's been a very enjoyable 2 years working with FWA, and we're going to continue working, and hopefully we'll be able to integrate more. And we are integrating more. I'm talking with our ESL professors about working with Chinese students on social media. They're very much into it. And so what I've learned, and with the help of my colleague, I'll be able to work with them on this. Last year, I introduced Hua to Ri Zong, who is our Chinese professor. And they're about the same age, and they become friends, and they share things on WeChat, which I get into, and I will soon be working with Ri on the LibGuide. So we're going to introduce her students to the Chinese history and culture, and hopefully they'll be able to add more to it. And I'll end on the fun note.